to speak for 2 minutes, but we begged her to speak for 10 minutes. Welcome.
Actually, I thought I was going to speak for 10 minutes, but I think I'm going to speak until tomorrow. I think it's only God who is going to take me away from here. You know, when you start an event where I see Mrs. Nkala raising our spirit with song, where I see beautiful ladies singing, it's the spirit that keeps in control. I think our flesh, at a certain stage in our lives, gives to the spirit. So I thank the spirit that is here. It's unique, it's great, and I'm proud of it. I just want to say to you, Pastor Nkala and Mrs. Nkala, for today, congratulations. You know, when you set up something like a church, you are setting up a foundation for our spirits, for our souls. You are also going out of your hand. I know a lot of work gets involved when you are setting up. I know a lot of confusion. I know a lot of talking that goes on. But the fact that today we are here to say all left there, our spirits are going, is something I am going to celebrate with the church. First of all, I want to say there is a Bible here. I will leave this to Pastor Nkala. He is a specialist in this. I do have mine. Mine is in paper. This one. This is my Bible. This is my life. This is my book. What I'm going to do is, I'm going to talk about how I developed charity. What made me to say today, I leave everything that I have to work for young girls. My book, Never Again, Not to Any Woman or Girl Again, has got 60 chapters and 600 pages. But when I was thinking this morning, I woke up at 4 a.m. And then I looked at Pastor Nkala's flyer, which was on my Facebook. Then I said to myself, this is House of Mercy. I repeated 10 times around 4 a.m. And I think my husband over there can testify that I left him at some point to just say, House of Mercy. And then I am invited to speak. I started rewinding. I am one girl who was taken into a house of mercy. I was taken from rebels into a house where people are merciful. And I think as soon as my book is published, I'm here in the house of mercy. I think God has something to do with it. My mother was no more at age 9. She was murdered in domestic violence. I lived in a neighborhood where domestic violence was the order of the day. A woman could be taken outside on the streets. Men could beat her. And everybody would cheer. To see a mother being beaten, that was the house of the devil. I was raped at age 7. Put in a house that I don't even know because somebody wanted to be rich from a virgin girl. I was taken in my grandmother's care, but she died. I went on to a mission school, Chishawasha Primary School, where there was no food to eat. Your parent could just leave you there at that boarding school, and it was almost like an orphanage. And having lost a mother, I was feeling bereaved. I wanted someone, a relative to be close to. That was not a house of mercy. I ended up having nightmares at the school. Stepmother unleashed terror to me. My stepmother was a kind of a woman who would go into the lavatory, spoil it, and tell you to take your hand and clean her feces. With your hand, she didn't allow you a brush. That was not a house of mercy. My brother drowned at the age of 9. I was the mother at age of 12. When I was in the funeral house, that was not a house of mercy. I felt robbed. I felt at age 12 I had let down a brother. Because I was the mother, I was supposed to keep my child. But as a mother at age 12, to see your child die is the worst memory you carry. I ended up running for a bus at St. Dominic's to write an entrance test to be at one of the best schools for girls in Chishawasha. I was almost getting into the house of mercy, but just 10 minutes before the bus took off, I almost lost that bus. I'm going to read a quick paragraph on that to see how God took me from a horror house into a merciful house. I had the brains, no money. I knocked on a school to say, allow me. Here are the brains, but no money. I can give anything when I'm grown, when I'm working. Just allow me in. It was hard to be allowed even at a mission school with no money. Maybe that's why Pastor Nkala is here. You will extend his mission. I know you're working in Swaziland, in South Africa. I was reading everything. There are many from our country, Zimbabwe, who are sleeping on the roads in the cold. They left their country. It's no longer a country of mercy. I started working for my school fees. I was supposed to be a child playing like all the kids I see here, but I was denied to play as a child. I started working as a laborer at a school, a complex which is 10 times this church. That was not a house of mercy. And I'm thinking even of children who are working as housemaids, who are raped by their employers, where we take them to look after our children, but we don't look after them. Those are orphaned children. They end up pregnant, we dump them. Our houses are not houses of mercy. So Pastor Nkala, I just want to take you to situations where houses where we are not houses of mercy. And your ministry is not only a name to me, it's going to take people whose souls are tormented out there. Doors finally opened for me to go to University of Zimbabwe. But then I kept on looking for my mother. She was buried when I was there. My father would not allow it. She called her a pauper. So when I looked for a grave, and I wanted a spirit to rest, I felt God had mercy for her. She was a woman who died crying for her children. Pastor Nkala, another mission there for children who lose parents, for mothers who never get to enjoy their motherhood. And I think my idea when I see especially Mrs. Nkala and her powerful mission in her to sing, and I've seen her doing charity, I'm of the feeling that you are called beyond this building. You are called to touch lives. Then I started searching for justice. I wanted to revenge on the men who raped me and raped 10 other girls in my neighborhood and left us very much pained. I started being in a school. That's when I started the charity Girl Child Network. I started feeling relief. God wanted me to do something to take the little girls who were being raped. The first 3 girls I started with were girls raped by their father because he wanted to heal from AIDS. Modesta, I will never forget her. Even as she came into my poor office, it was an office I had divided into office and safe house. She was frail. You could see a mother pleading to me even in her grave to say, Betty, hold my children. Betty, hold them. They are not yours, but hold them. The same to you, Pastor Nkala. The voice will come to you to say, just touch them. Don't leave them. They've knocked on this church. It can be through whatever means. I've got thousands of girls crying even via inbox in Facebook. Betty, my child is raped. They are now beating me. They are now denying me justice. I also had another child who also, after I got married to my husband, Ivan over there, we got a child who was dumped at the police station. You only came to know last week that we are not the biological parents. We took him at 1 year, 8 months, made him our son, is here in England. And I felt God opened the house of mercy for me. Kids were starting to come in. I couldn't even have kids of my own. Then we moved to Wange. I couldn't speak in Ndebele, and I was confronted in a situation where 3 girls were raped by their father. They spoke Ndebele, I spoke Shona. But because God wanted me to do the work, I understood the language of being raped more than the language in Ndebele. I spoke to them. They showed me the wounds. And I built what we call Wange Girls Empowerment Village in Matebeleland North. Now as I go through all this, I'm now in England. I meet special people like you. I talk to special people like Mrs. Nkala. I see them doing amazing work. And then my heart tells me the house of mercy for everyone in Africa crying to you is right here. So by inviting me, you have done something very exceptional. You are looking after my soul. I rarely go to church because I am someone who is always traveling. But the fact that you invited me to speak, you have also invited me to further examine my spirit, my soul, to recommit, to know that before you speak to any human being, you speak to God. Reader, have you been in a situation where everything just collapses and you are no longer human? Have you been in situations where you are just a name and not a person? Have you been in a situation where you are not just supposed to exist? Or if you think you exist, you must pinch yourself and say, I stopped existing. I got to that situation at age 14. My life was supposed to stop at age 14. I had reached a dead end. I felt as if I was age 114. My mind had suffered so much that I felt I had once existed for 100 years and came back to life when people least wanted anything to do with me. And now for 14 years, they tried to have me go back. Somehow I just felt a wasted adult instead of a teenager. I had left my mother's children at home, coming to a boarding school I could not pay for. I knew my mother's children were suffering. How selfish could I have a meal per day and not even take leftover from rich girls thrown away in the bin? Even if I wanted to take the leftover to my siblings, how would I store it until I reached them? I wanted the school to give me the beans to carry home daily. How could anyone throw food into the bin when my brothers had none? I had hidden my poverty from the girls. No one knew I wanted food when thrown into the bin to take to my siblings. Many times I was a girl who had successfully hidden poverty in order to fit in. I was not myself. My sandals, the only shoe requirement, had fallen apart. I had sewn it many times. That's one thing that almost sold me out to rich girls. And Pastor Nkala, you are going to see many of these things where some poor church members also come here. They've hidden their beatings at night. They've hidden the tears. They've dried them. They don't even have money, but they have love for God. Amen. Those are the people who belong to this church, House of Mercy. Amen. People who are being mocked in any other church. People who are not being liked in any other church. Those are the people who belong to this church. What I did also at 5 a.m. after reflecting what I want to say, I also wrote a poem to dedicate to your church. I write poems. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to ask you to play me just a very, cool, because I've seen you playing so graciously, and I love it. I can't go without one for me. I'm going to say the poem whilst you play for me. I want to imitate what Mrs. Nkala does here.